Wow, I didn't know they changed that up. That's interesting. You learn something new every day, huh? There you go. All right, let's get into it. Over the weekend, UFC Fortaleza. How do you pronounce that word? I don't know. What I do know is the event was incredible. I really, really enjoyed it. I had a little bit of an issue with my UFC on my ESPN app on I have a TV, a Samsung TV, and my app didn't have the audio and the video synced right, so I had to kind of reload the page, but after that, it was great. I can't complain about that. Can I just say one thing before we get to the technique breakdown? Sweet mother of Jesus Christ, thank you, ESPN, for the pacing on that show. Number one, starting at 8 o'clock was just kisses fingers. So delicioso. Number two, oh my God, the pacing was like, this is how, I didn't realize psychically the toll it had taken on me to have cards start at 10 and then go till 1 or more in the morning. It really was like hurting my fandom. To get that back, I cannot tell you how happy I am. And I know it's not going to be the norm necessarily, but for when it needs to be that way or when it can be that way, to be that way, it has restored my faith in humanity. Not really, but I'm just going to say that. All right. So what do we have from UFC Fortaleza? Time permitting, I'll get to 3 fights, but probably just 2. I don't have any numbers because I didn't see any real numbers. Not every time numbers tell you the story. They're often very helpful, but not always. Nor do I have any other slides about breaking down one fight. If we were just doing one fight or 1.5 fight, where we just look at a big main event and then something small, I'll put up some slides, but I kind of want to go through a bunch of different things. So let's put up the slides now, if we can. So we're going to talk about at least Marlon Moraes versus Raphael Assuncao, and at least Jose Aldo and Renato Moicano. Time permitting, a lot of folks were asking, how is it possible that Demian Maia keeps taking people's back? I'll show the back take, time permitting, on this one. So let's get things going. All right, this was your main event. This was Marlon Moraes. As you see on the right, you had Junior, I keep calling him Junior, that's his brother, Raphael Assuncao on the left. So I went back and I watched the first fight, and I noticed something, or a couple of things, that were different this time around. Number one, Marlon Moraes did not switch stances that often. Marlon Moraes will do things called darts, where he'll shoot off at an angle. He would fake a southpaw position and then kind of paw with then his right hand, which would be his lead hand. But he didn't really do a lot of stance switching in this one. In his first fight, he was spending lots of time, including in that first round, which he probably lost by a series of right hands at the end of it. He was spending a lot of time in southpaw position. He was spending a lot of time going back and forth. He did not do that this time, number one. Number two, he just had a certain energy. You could tell when he fought Assuncao the first time, which I believe was his UFC debut, he might have been a little bit hesitant, a little bit thinking about things. He was throwing, he was definitely moving, but he was just a little bit, the numbers don't show it, but the body language does, where he's just a little bit reserved. He was much more open this time around. Careful, deliberate, but open. He was just kind of throwing, and you could tell he was getting rid of, by not doing the stance switching, he was getting rid of some of the things that were either viewed by him and his coach as extraneous or just otherwise not helpful. They had a dedicated game plan. Also, if you go back and you watch Assuncao the first time, then commentator Brian Stan had noted Assuncao was also a stance switcher, but didn't switch stances in that fight. He carried that over into this one. He stayed predominantly in his orthodox position, except for the very end where he gets caught, which is kind of interesting to note about that. So that's another key component there to watch. This one, how did he do it? The basic answer is when we talk about the best athletes in the UFC, what do we say? We say maybe Yoel Romero, maybe Paulo Costa, maybe, I don't know, who are just some really other good athletes, another Brazilian, Jose Aldo, certainly in his prime, or pick your fighter. There's some other really good, Sarah McMahon was a really good athlete, obviously, for her time, Ronda Rousey, John Jones, guys who are just super athletic, right, or ladies who are super athletic. I don't know why, but we don't really talk about Marlon Moraes in that way. I am calling upon everybody to fix that. We must start. His hand speed is blistering. His power is extraordinary. I don't know if he's the best athlete in the UFC, but when we have a conversation about some of the more athletic guys, I'm not saying that's why he wins. He wins because he's also a phenomenal technician, which we saw in this. He has brilliant finishing instincts, which we saw in this. But we never bring up Marlon Moraes like near the top of a list of best athletes in MMA. This fight shows you just how good that is. He marries that with phenomenal technique, which just makes him such a potent force. I mean, this fight went the distance the full time, and the first time, and then Assuncao won. And the second time, it wasn't even close. He just bulldozed and went right through him. And it's because he has incredible athleticism that he marries with phenomenal technique that he has honed over time in all dimensions of the game, plus great decision making. But I just want to make a point. When you're watching him, the slides won't necessarily show this to the fullest extent as live video would, but his hand speed is phenomenal, and his overall ability to just bring his athleticism to bear in a smart way, it really needs to be considered going forward. I really believe that. So that was a key component. But the real answer to how he did this was two things. One, he tricked Assuncao to thinking he was delivering either a shot to the body or a shot straight. I'll demonstrate that with his cross. And then on the ground, he had a brilliant way to finish the guillotine. He also had an incredibly novel way of trying to defend it that I've literally never seen. We'll talk about that in just a second. I don't know how close he was to stopping it. I've never seen a guy get stuck in mounted guillotine and put both of his hands on the inside on purpose. We'll look at that here in just a second. So let's go through this. What you're looking for here is, he kind of feints this way, and you see the reaction. See this reaction? Let me put this up right here. Right here. This is what you're looking for. Right hand up, left hand extended. That's what he's looking for. At first, what you're going to see is Moraes is going to throw a shot straight down the middle, and Assuncao is not going to be there. He gets tricked later, and instead of coming down the middle, he comes over the top with a right hand and crushes him. But he's setting it all up here. And it looks like this the first time. This is what it looks like the first time. This is the exact same scenario that ended the fight. This time, though, look, he is inside. He is inside the arm, the punching arm of Assuncao. Next time, he's going to come around the side. He sets it up a variety of different ways. That's one time. Here's another time he sets it up. He fakes to the body a little bit, right? Just getting him to gauge his reactions, but look how far apart they are. Here's another time. Ready? Watch. He's going to do the exact same thing. He's going to fake a jab, lower his level, and you're going to see what kind of reaction he gets from Assuncao. Assuncao throws a nice tight hook on the inside, anticipating he was coming in, but he's sort of showing different setups. So one time I'm going to come straight to the body, next time jab, and then I'm going to lower my level to the body, right? He's setting up all these different ways in which that kind of look could come at him, so that when he finally decides to go with that overhand right over the top, he's never seen it, he's confused. He does this, and it comes on that left-hand side. You'll see it here in just a second, right? So he's setting it all up. Here's the next one. By the way, he did such a good job. Last time his footwork was good, but his directionality in the first fight was a little bit one note. Man, this time he's going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. He takes a lot from Frankie Edgar as a teammate, not as a thief, as a teammate. He takes some of the best parts, he makes it his own. But one of the things he does is just has really excellent footwork, a lot of L-stepping to the outside and resetting the angle. He's just so good at that, right? So here we go. Again, fakes, look at this, lowers level, fakes jab, and there's the exact same reaction. This is the exact same reaction you're going to see in that final sequence. So he's drawing it out, setting it up, right? And he's doing it by going inside, one time to the chin, one time to the body. It's sort of making it all look the same. You can't tell where that punch is coming. It kind of looks like it's all being set up the same way, right? There it is right there. And here's the final sequence. Look at this nice tight punch. He misses here. I love this. And I love how he just has this, the uppercuts from the lead hand. You don't see a lot of them in MMA. You see a lot of these rear hand, wind them up Yosemite Sam things. But he's got a nice, I love his super crisp, tight boxing. I know he missed with this punch, but man, you just give him another round or two and he's going to lay you out. But anyway, So, and then he finishes up with a left hook. So he is now in his southpaw stance, right? Right here. Let me go back. Excuse me, what am I saying? He's in his right-handed stance. What am I saying? He's in his right-hand stance. He misses with the uppercut and goes back. So now he's back to that stance. Now here's where I couldn't tell. This was one of those fights where it's true of almost any fight. You got to get just the right angle from the video camera to really understand it. This one in particular is you really had to. I had to go back and watch this one a few times. I was like, how exactly did he do it? Because this was the shot live. This was the live shot. Look at him take this big, he almost takes a hop. Look at his feet. Ready? One thing is Assuncao is usually really good at distance management here. He's a little flat-footed here. He didn't anticipate this at all. And then all the different setups that Marlon Moraes had been doing, you see he fakes this way, and then this time, boom, comes over the top, crushes him, and then follows it up with another one, okay? But here's how he set it up. Let's go to the different angle. This is the angle. You're looking for what? Watch. The exact same one. He thinks the punch is coming on the inside, not merely below him, but on the inside of the bicep. Instead, it's coming over the top. You see that? That's how it changed. He wasn't ready for it. It's like, dude, how do you land a punch clean on Raphael Assuncao? It's very, very difficult to land a punch on him unless you're both just trading in the pocket. And even then, like, people don't just land clean shots on him anymore. You can only do it if he's anticipating something totally different and he's got vulnerabilities. But that's what happened. He's just got such nimble, fast feet, nimble, fast hands, good feints, good fakes, good setups, good trickery, good variation, good shot selection. So by the time he gets here, it's too late already, man. This guy is a handful. TJ Dillashaw's like, wow, 125 back to Henry Cejudo or Marlon Moraes. Bro, I mean, I'm not saying he can't beat either of those guys, particularly if they do the rematch with Cejudo at 135. But do I think he has his hands full? I know he has his hands full. This is an amazing fighter right here. Right, boom, crushes him, and then follows it up. This time he measures him. You can see he measures him right here, like that, and then crushes him one more time. So now, we're not going to go through some of the guard passing he went through. There's no point. He falls down and gets on top. This is the interesting part. I've never seen this before. Note to anybody watching this who knows more than me, and as I always tell you folks, I don't present these findings as the authoritative findings, the best findings, or the only findings. I present to you them as my findings that I can put together based on what I know, but I have limits like anybody else, of course. If somebody knows the answer to this, please shoot me an email, luke.thomas@sbnation.com. I'd really love to know what he's doing here. I'll probably ask Almeida when we get here, because I'd never seen this before. I've seen a lot of mount defense with guillotines, arm in, arm out. I'd never seen this. Anyway, right, the old Gordon Ryan choice. If they go to defend their hands, you take the back. If they put their hands on the mat, from the front headlock, you go for the guillotine. Hands on the mat, he goes for the guillotine, right? So here he is, and he is going to have the arm in. You can already tell this is a beautiful arm in. Why? He's got his head on the side of the ribs, which is where you want it. He's got, a lot of people make the mistake of, well, the choking arm, they go too far with it. You want to get just right. He's got it just right. Shoulders are not quite square, but square-ish. And he's going to fall to that side. He's going to pull him on top of himself like this. Pay attention to something. Again, we're going to go through this. Look here. Both of Assuncao's hands at this point in the fight at 153 are on the mat, okay? Understand that. And look where they end up. He rolls, and now Marlon comes on top. The hand here, it's still free. He's going to tuck it like that. Now, Marlon comes on top of it because he's trying to take him out. You'll see it from a different angle. He could take this hand out. In fact, to tap, he just pulls it out and taps. It's not stuck in there. It's not a BJ Penn rear naked choke where he's using one of his legs to hold an arm back, so you're just out here floating around with one arm. That's not what this is. He is choosing to put that arm in there. Here's what I think is happening. Let's go through this real quickly. This is Assuncao's hand right here, okay? Here's what I think is happening. He's grabbing his own leg here. I have looked at this a number of times. It looks like he's grabbing the leg of Moraes for a second, But then I see him from the bird's eye view grabbing his own. Maybe he's grabbing that one and trying to get free, but you got to notice the choke is on that side. He's got to come this way to get out of it, right? If someone's doing a guillotine on you, whatever side the head is on, you go cross body to get out of it. He would have to circle out this way. He'd have to be on the right side because the head's on the other side. The head is against the left side of the ribs, but he's stopped there. So removing that leg, he wouldn't twist in. There's no way Assuncao would twist this way because that would just tighten the choke. He'd have to go, he'd have to go this way to get out of it. So grabbing the bottom leg of Assuncao wouldn't do him any good. Here's what I think he's doing, and I want to be very clear about this. I do not know. I only think. I've never seen this before. But a lot of times, somebody will get caught in a head and arm triangle, and what they'll do is, so they'll be like, let's say the person is choking here, and they're on this side of the body. What they'll do is they'll take their free hand and then the arm that's being compromised a little bit, and they'll actually tuck up under their leg and they'll pull it open. And what that does is, where you're here before being choked, if I grab behind my leg and then I extend my leg out, it kind of opens up a little bit. That's not really going to work on anybody good. But if somebody is not necessarily in that right position or not that good, but maybe they're real strong and they're trying to He-Man it, that could buy you some time. So it can work in certain situations. My hunch here is that he could be grabbing the leg. I don't know. My hunch is that what he was trying to do is, what you're going to see eventually happen. Let me show you here. Look at his spine right here, right? His spine is all this way. Eventually what's going to happen is he's going to shoot his hips down and everything's going to come up. And when it does, that's when the choke really begins to sink. But to do that, he's got to squeeze his buns together and he's got to drive, like you're finishing a deadlift. You got to drive down, okay? My thought was what he was trying to do was something similar, where if I get a hold of my leg and I pull, or I at least put a wedge here, it's going to be hard to fully drive the hips in. Or if I can hold on to a leg, then I can push the guillotine out a little bit. Because remember, it's an arm-in guillotine. So that is my theory. I do not know. If you know, please shoot me an email, luke.thomas@sbnation.com. I'd love to know what the answer is to that, because I'd never seen that before. In any event, it doesn't really matter. Now, this is a no-no. Moraes has his toes in the fence, but he lets them go because, and look, you can see the hand there. There's the hand of Assuncao. He's holding his own leg, right? So there's the other arm. This is the look. This is the arm of Assuncao. Both of these are around. To get out of this choke, from a physical positioning standpoint, his hips would have to be on this side, but he's stuck on the other one. By the way, this is such a nice choke. Look at Moraes balancing on his head, looking down, right? The head is nice against the lat, against the ribs. It's just perfect. And here's how he's going to finish it, right? So watch. He is going to look at it, watch the back, and then watch the head of Moraes here. He's going to lean up. First of all, I want to pay attention to something here. Look at the traps on old Moraes. Dude is, you guys can't see that, right? Let me make these red so you can see. Bro, look at that. Dude's got stop signs on his back. It's just like super, super bricked up, okay? And he leans back like this, and he's leaning to the same side the choke is on. Remember, part of an arm in, there's many different ways to finish this, but typically you don't want to go too far, because once you get the lockup, you're rocking the baby a little bit. That's what some people call it. That's the way I was taught it anyway. So that's what you're going to get here. He's going to rock that inside. And so what he's doing is, and by the way, you see the other hand come out here. Look at that. He frees the hand, no problem. It's not stuck. He chose to put it inside. It's very, very unique. And then he taps. Here's another look at it. I want to pay attention to something, right? Again, hands go on the mat from the front headlock position. Boom. Again, they put their hands on your hands, take the back, the hands on the mat. You go for the choke from the front headlock. Anywhere he decides to go for the choke. Sits his hips in deep. Look, pay attention to the hands of Assuncao. They're nice and open, right? He's gonna drive in. Can't get it standing. He's gonna pull him on top. Okay, he's got a nice, almost like not quite a Marcelo tune. I wouldn't call it that. Now you can see Assuncao wants to get out of it. He wants to slide, And this hook here, whoop, do this. This here is preventing it from happening. So he keeps going. You see that hook? And that brings him on top. And then Assuncao chooses to put his hands inside. Like that. Look at this. Both of his hands are right here. I do not know what that is. I have never seen that before. Forgive me my ignorance. You learn something new every day. I don't know, again, unless it's providing a wedge or he's gripping something to open it up, but we never get to that point. One last detail here on the finish as he comes around. By the way, to roll through this and finish is so very difficult. It's hard to explain, but he gets it nicely, pushes out, drives his hips. So you see how there's a wedge here? Look at this. See how there's a wedge? He can't quite get, his hips are not touching his belly or his ribs. That would really be the ideal scenario. So there's a wedge there. That's what I think it might be, is that you just can't get enough compression. But he pulls it out, and then watch the head of Moraes come and sit up here, right? He wraps underneath. This is the last thing I want to show you. Look at this. Why does he grapevine the legs like that? Because it pushes Assuncao together. Look at that. At first, his legs are out. See, look, his legs are kind of out behind him. But then, not only is he coming down with the pressure and leaning up, he's going to bring his legs inside, higher up, and he's going to, look at that, just sandwich him together. See that? And then he just takes the arm out, and he gets the tap. That is so nice. That is so nice from Marlon Moraes. So this is what I mean. Clever, smart, another version of his athleticism, strong, but he's not He-Manning stuff. He's taking appropriate technique and then applying his physicality to it. He uses his strength. He uses his speed. He's not reliant upon it to win. Big, big difference. That's going to save him when his athleticism starts to decline a little bit. He's not going to have a precipitous drop-off at the end of his career. He probably will have a gradual one if he doesn't take too much punishment because he employs those tools. He doesn't lean on them. Big, big difference. Okay? Let's go to the next one. Thumbnail up, please, if you don't mind. All right. There you have it. Okay. This one, yeah, let's get to it real quickly. All right, let's go to Jose Aldo here real fast. Jose Aldo, how did he win? He bombed on Renato Moicano, but there was a couple ways he set it up. We talked about it last week. A lot of times combinations go side to side to side to side. Sometimes they can stay same side. He goes same side on this one, and it works, but he has to slowly set it up. He slowly sets it up by going to the head. He slowly sets it up by going to the right. He slowly sets it up by going to the head and then to the body. He slowly sets it up, by the way, two different hands. Eventually what he does is he goes left to the body, left over the top, so he stays with it. 2 fights in a row, Jose Aldo has won by stoppage. He has not done that since 2009, number one. Number two, in both of those fights, it was a left hook to the liver that set everything up. Somewhere Bas Rutten is smiling and just delighting in this fact that you've got, literally, you want to talk about a 10-year challenge? It's been 10 years since he's done that. There's a lot of factors that go into it. He's not quite the athlete he was back then, but he's still pretty good. He's adding some new tools. That left to the ribs, boy, he is setting people on fire with this thing. So how does he begin to set it all up? This is how, right? So we're going to go through it. Here he's faking and feinting, right? He's just sort of going to wildly come in and see if he can get it. Nowhere close, right? Nowhere close. Walking through, Moicano backs him up a little bit, and then he recharges here. You're going to see him go back in, collect himself, and he's going to single shot one more time here, like that. Actually, he doubles up here. I stand corrected. He goes jab, hook a little bit, and then gets stopped along the way. All right, so that's the first time. Here's another time a little bit later in the fight. What's he going to do? By the way, not a lot of footwork in this one. These two kind of stood in front of each other a little bit, right? What's he going to do? Leg kick was one component, and then boom, counteractive, sort of like a reaction check hook. Not a whole lot to it, but he's beginning to like set things up, right? Feel his way through the offense. I don't know that he intended to use that left hand from the word go to get there. Just like I don't know that Moraes intended to land that right in the way he did, but you try a lot of different things, you vary things up, you see what works, and then and then you act upon it. So here he is again, gets kicked in the face there a little bit from Moicano, but there's not a whole lot of steam on it. What's he going to do? He's going to look forward. He takes a shot here, he gets out of the way, and then he tries to go to the body as a reaction, and he gets hit with a check hook. A little bit too far away, a little bit too easy to read, right? So he's still making adjustments a little bit later. Boom. What does he do, right? He parries the kick a little bit, kind of goes with a right a little bit, boom, and then goes underneath. He's gauging the defense. How far is Moicano bringing his elbows down? That's what he's doing there. And how does he react? Does he go in a straight line, for example? Here's another one, right? Testing it out, leaning, pulls, sort of does a trunk turn there. I love this. By the way, in this fight, did you guys notice how many times Aldo checked kicks? Here's one, leans into it with his shin, and he did it several times, bringing it up as well. It was phenomenal, right? Boom. Catches him. Again, he has this sort of like check hook he throws at the end of combinations. Here he is again, kind of leading left to the body. Where does he go? He circles left. All right, we're going to make a mental note of that. Here's another one towards the end of the round. What's he doing? He doubles up on a pump fake and then comes with a left hook, and that brought down his defenses a little bit. And then he pulls and gets out of the way. Tells you if you can double up on things, he can get behind it pretty well on the same side, by the way. Now we're in round two. This one does not last very long. I'm going to get this very quickly. Gets out of the way, leans in, gets out of the way twice while keeping his feet moving, jabs, goes to the body. So jab straight. Again, same side combinations, right? Here's another one. What's he going to do? He's going to jab. He's feeling his way in. Moicano's gauging distance. He goes right to the body. The single shots don't work. So what works? Same side, trickery. That's what works. So what does he do? This is the beginning of the end right here. Wow, I love this shot. Watch this. So Moicano, he threw one of these jumping knees in the first round because he was waiting for Aldo to step too far forward. You saw, I forget who did this last. Someone did it recently. But you can catch someone with a jump knee, or even Cerrone was catching Hernandez, even with just a step-through knee. But you can catch them with a jump if they lean too far forward and extend over themselves. But he misses here because Aldo doesn't actually lean that far. He leans a little bit, but not too badly. It's not anywhere close. And he kind of throws a right, which misses. However, he throws that same check hook, and that lands. And now you're going to see him forced to reset. And I love this. Here it comes. Digs to the body. Same side check hook again, and he follows it with a right. One more time. Let's go through this real quickly, because I know we're short on time, like we always are. Right? Throws the right first. Moicano tries to greet him with a jump knee, but is nowhere close. Same check hook you saw him throw all last round. That lands. He's like, aha, kind of got my distance here a little bit, found a little way of an opening. Boom. He said in the post-fight interview he knew he was tall. They were going to go back to the body to test him because it's just hard to cover all that real estate when that happens. He gets him open, and look at this. Wide open lane. Immediately recognizes if you can throw that check hook a lot of times, right? If you can just react and find it in all these different scenarios. If you see an opening like that, what made Jose Aldo so special in his WEC run? I would argue what I used to call, I wrote a post on Bloody Elbow at the time about it. I called it reflexive decision making. That's what I called it. He has still reflexive decision making. He can make decisions about what to throw fast. And he's got that wonderful left hook that he's got. He opens things up with the ribs. The hand comes down. He immediately recognizes it and just goes to it. And then once he does, he just swarms. So there you go. That's your answer. Thumbnail, please. Very, very quickly. Very quickly. Let's go to this. Okay. Folks are asking, how did Demian Maia take the back? I will show you. Let's put it up here very quickly. Demian Maia has a lot of tricks. And I went back and I watched how Colby stopped him, how Kamaru stopped him, how Woodley stopped him. Two tricks that all of them have. One, don't get along the fence. Woodley got along the fence because Woodley has like lights out takedown defense. But generally, Colby and Kamaru stayed in the center. So we try to make him take you down in open space. He's a lot less difficult. Number two, if you try to take you down open space, he's going to baseball slide underneath you to get it. He didn't need to do it in this fight, but it's another thing they do where, oh, I'll go for a double. I can't get it. Okay, I'll just baseball slide underneath, and I'll use my legs as sort of and I'll pull you on top from half or deep half. And then the other one is you got to break his hands apart. you'll see Tyron Woodley gets an underhook on one side and then literally wrist control on the other, and then gets his hips away and breaks away. Lyman Good does not do this. He's so close to the fence. So you can see he tries to turn so that he doesn't have his back up against the fence. That part is right. But he's not attacking the hands at all here, right? And again, it's easier said than done. I mean, how many great fighters have had their back taken? Lyman Good knows more about this than I do, but I'm just observing, what did the other guys do? What did he not do, right? So he never attacks the hands. Look at the hands here. So now he's got the leg between them. This is not the end of the world, but he's not firing enough underhooks. He's not got a whizzer on the right-hand side. Colby Covington was really good. You can hate Colby Covington all you want, but he had a nice whizzer on this side, and what he would do is he would force Maia with a whizzer. What's a whizzer? A whizzer is an overhook of an underhook. So it's an overhook of an underhook. And he would throw Maia so Maia would plant his hands on the ground. But if your hands are on the ground, then he would just slip his leg out, underhook, and push. Right? So he doesn't do any of these things here. So he's turning him into the fence. And now look how close he is. Chest on top of hips. He's getting his hands together. No one's attacking the hands. He's just trying to right his balance. Another thing Woodley did would go get his hips side to side, constantly creating angles. He would never have a back flat against the fence. So he gets his hands together here, not quite underneath the rear end, but no one's attacking the hands. He just turns him facing us and then pushes him down. There's nothing. Look, what's holding Lyman Good up here? Nothing. He's driving his weight from his shoulder into his belly. He's pulling his rear end underneath him, and he's pushing forward. There's nothing to stop him. So he tries, thumbnail up, please. Right? He tries to get it going. He can't. Yada, yada, yada. Gets taken back down. You get the idea. I want to show something here real quick. Go back. Watch Maia like a snake go side to side here. Watch this. He's going to go side to side. Look at that. Side to side. Hold on. This is so nice. All right. God damn it. Thumbnail, please. I got it in the wrong spot. Here we go. I know we got to go, so I'm going to make it fast. All right, watch this. Okay, put it up. Remember from the first fight, Henry Cejudo and DJ? DJ puts a foot in his hip, and then he picks him up and lifts him. You put a foot in the hip of Maia. What does he do? Gets rid of it. Goes to one side. Then he goes, watch this, as he turns, goes to the other side. It's a delicate hip switch. It's real delicate, right? And then goes, as you push, to the other side. Look at that. All right, last thing. I guess we got to go. I don't have time to get through all this, but I want to show you the last thing. Finally, you're going to see Lyman gets to his feet again, all right? But it doesn't do him a whole lot of good. So he gets to his feet. All right, put it up. Here is where Colby Covington keeps the whizzer, and he's already too far gone. But so what happens is he abandons it. So now what was Tyron Woodley doing? Breaking locked hands all the time. Now what does Maia have? Locked hands, bro. Now you are in trouble. Watch how he finishes this. Okay, what he's going to do is he's going to hook around. Now watch, he doesn't just hook the leg, follow the hips of Maia. He moves around. You see that? Like he's dancing. Look at his rear end. I'm sure some of you would love that. Here we go. Dancing. Look at that footwork. He's going to kick the leg out and drive, and then he's going to push forward as he stabilizes. Why? Because it's going to force the hands of Good to touch the mat. Well, if they touch the mat, you have created a structure. What does he need to take the back? If he was standing, imagine he was like, I just want to take the back, no resistance. If you just stand like a scarecrow, that's one way. Now imagine we said you got to do it on the ground, but don't put your knees down. What would he have you do? He would have you build a stable structure. Feet down, hands down. Now he can just whip around it, just like that. And that is how he takes the back. He slowly finds a way to get to a position where he can slowly build on top, get to locked hands, manipulate your weight with his hips, get you to plant your hands. When your hands are planted, fire the hooks in. That is the Monday Morning Analyst right there.